Hello, my name is Nick Azari, and this is Liam Butler and I's project on New York City's subway and its nuances. So, starting off with a small introduction to the subway. So, we are excited to introduce you to one of the most iconic and complex transit systems in the world, the New York City subway. Since its opening in 1904, the New York City subway has been the lifeblood of the city, connecting over 8.5 million people across 5 boroughs through a sprawling network of more than 660 miles of track and 472 stations. More than just a means of transportation, the subway is a symbol of New York's diversity, energy, and resilience. It operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making it one of the few subway systems in the world to run continuously. In this presentation, we'll be exploring the key aspects of the New York City subway system, from station locations and ridership data to service lines and historical developments, providing a clear, interactive understanding of how this incredible network shapes the daily lives of millions. So, starting off with our dashboard over here, you can see the entirety of New York City and the subway stations and the subway lines, all 472 stations and all of the lines here, lots of track. And over here on the left, you can actually scroll through every single subway station provided on the map and click on one of these to find exactly where it is on the map, giving some information like the station's ID, the segment ID, the type of subway it is, and the line it's on. And similar to that, over here we have a census tract locator where you can click on it and it'll take you directly to a census in New York City. So right here, this would be the Bronx 221.02, and if you click on it, you'll be able to get some information about it, but we'll go into that later. And next up is the area's median home value. Wherever you're zoomed into at the time, you can see the median home value in that area. So obviously in New York, some places in like the Upper East District are going to have a higher home value, while places over here, like in the Bronx, you'll see the home value dropping a little more. Uh, yeah. Anyways, and then finally, you have the racial demographics, which is similarly to the median home value. Wherever you're zoomed in on, you'll be able to see the exact percentage of white and African American the population in that area. So right here, as you can see in this area, there's about an 85.05% of Caucasian people and only a 14.95% of African American population. So next up, we have the economics. So this is this is a major layer in our dashboard, being the economic statistics census layer. This layer highlights the different census tracts across New York City and focuses on key economic indicators. When you click on one of the specific tracks, it will display important statistics for that area, including the average cost of housing, median property value, the percentage of people who rent their home, and the percentage of people who own their home. The map uses shades of purple to visually represent the median property value, lighter shades indicating areas with a lower median property value, while darker shades point to areas with higher property values. This layer gives us a deeper economic context for the neighborhoods we're exploring, helping us understand not just where people live, but also the financial realities they face, whether they're renters or homeowners. Combined with the subway access and demographic information we've covered, will give us a full picture on how transportation, demographics, and economics all connect across New York City. So, for example, if I were to go over here, maybe click on this lighter census area, you'll see the average cost of housing, the median property value, and then you can see it's a pretty mixed percent of people who rent and own their home, with renting being a little higher. But then if you were to go over here, in the darker census shade, you can see that there's a much higher percentage of people who rent their home in comparison to owning their home. So moving on is the demographic statistics, which I broadly went over earlier. Here you can see all the census tracts with color shading ranging from light to dark blue, representing the proportion of the Caucasian population living within each area, and with darker shades indicating a higher percentage, while lighter shades show a lower percentage. And each census tract also comes with detailed demographic information, including the percent of Caucasian and African American residents, as well as the total number of Caucasian and African American residents as well. See, having both the percentages and actual population numbers give us a much more complete picture, showing not just the racial proportions, but also the actual size of the communities living in each area. By combining the subway infrastructure with the demographic data, we can start to understand not just how the subway connects neighborhoods, but also how patterns of settlement, accessibility, and service distribution relate to the makeup of the city's population. So here, if I were to click on a darker census tract, you can see there's a much higher percent of Caucasian population, being 88.6, and a lower of African American. For example, if I were to click here, it's going to be a much higher percent of African American in comparison to Caucasian. The reason why those are only two races is because we didn't have exact information provided on other races, so we were only able to access Caucasian and African American. Next up, we use the Summarize Within Analysis tool to create a 2-mile radius around each stadium nearby or in New York City to show the subway stations nearby in that area. And the reason why we decided to choose a 2-mile radius for our analysis there was because we wanted to display a sort of like actual walking distance. If you were to be getting off the subway in New York, you don't want to pay for parking, so you take the subway. And anywhere in this area is what an average walk to a stadium would be, or at least one that people would be okay with. So right here, if you want to go to this stadium, you would probably be okay with getting off at any of these subway stations. Obviously, the closer would be more preferred, but any station in this area is a very walkable distance. And then similarly to that, we have the hospital radius layer, where we also use the Summarize Within Analysis tool to generate a layer, but instead of having a 2-mile radius like the stadium one, we decided to make it smaller to only show a 200-meter radius around every hospital in New York City. The reason why was because we wanted to make a shorter, more walkable distance in case it was an emergency, or you might be feeling sick or hurt, so you wouldn't want to walk a longer distance like the 2 miles with the stadium. So we decided to only go for a 200-meter distance. And a really good example would be right here at this hospital. As you can see, you have all these subway stations around, but this hospital in a 200-meter distance, the closest subway station would be right here at Wyckoff Heights Medical Center, and you'd probably want to get off here because you don't want to be walking any longer than you need to in case of an emergency. So in conclusion, the New York City subway is more than just a way to get around. It connects people, neighborhoods, and opportunities across the city. By looking at maps that show where subway stations are, who lives in each area, and how much homes cost, and how close places like hospitals and stadiums are, we can better understand how the subway affects daily life. This helps us see how transportation, race, and money are all connected in shaping how people live in New York City. And these are our sources.